All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. We now have been joined by Chase Briscoe, and we will open for questions. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll work to get a mic to you to try to get in as many questions as we can. And to kick us off, we'll start up front here with Shane. Do we have mic runners? They're coming. Hang on one second.
So, man, how are you? Not too bad.
All right, here we go. All right, if I could have a mic runner up front. Perfect.
Here we go. I'm Shane Connick from the Charlotte Observer. Great to see you, Chase.
Hey, man, you too.
So how cool is this, being here in Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600 weekend? Obviously, Austin was just saying how patriotic an event it is for the whole sport, for America, but what is it like just for the drivers to be coming into this race weekend?
Yeah, it's a special weekend. You know, no matter where you're from, if you grew up watching NASCAR, like you watch the Coke 600, right? Like it's one of those iconic events. You know, especially with the Indy 500, you know, in the afternoon and the 600 at night. So for me, it was one of those races as a kid you dreamed about just racing in, and then once you actually become a competitor and you're here, you know, being in the event, it's just super special. Obviously, you have the patriotic paint schemes and Memorial Day weekend, you know, but the pre-race I feel like is so unlike anywhere else we go. It really puts things in perspective. Plus, you know, we all are carrying a soldier on our car, right? So you get to meet the family prior to the race, and it's different than every other race from that side of things, but it's also different because it's 100 more miles than every other race too, right? So it's just it's special being here for this race and this weekend. There's a lot of significance with it. You know, you add all that on top of it all being in all of our backyards now, and the pride that comes along with, you know, winning here. It's a big deal. So yeah, excited for this weekend and excited to be part of it.
There are going to be 4 races here this weekend in Charlotte Motor Speedway. Already a bit of a rougher racetrack. What's just the preparation like for a race like this? We always hear the longest race of the year and all that, but for a driver getting ready to race on the oval at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, it's one of the more, I would say, characteristic-wise, just it's different than a lot of the tracks we go to. Like, it's super, super rough. It's wore out. It's slick. It's a lot of fun for us, right? But as a 600-mile race, your prep stuff, I feel like, doesn't change a whole lot. You just are a little more conscious of it kind of all week long. Like, you know, and especially for me this weekend with, you know, adding in 300 miles on Saturday, like you're just a little more conscious of your hydration and just all the things that kind of go into the weekend prep. But other than that, I don't really feel like it's a whole lot different. It feels a lot longer for sure inside the race car. And that's where just mentally I feel like you know, being kind of in a rhythm of racing, you know, if this is the first race of the year, I think it would be super challenging. But because it is, you know, 12, 13 weeks into the season, you kind of have a good baseline of kind of knowing where you're at physically and mentally, and it makes it a little bit easier.
And obviously we lay out the road course for the Roval in the fall. And so how cool does it make it every spring to be able to come here for 600 miles in the home of all NASCAR teams?
Yeah, it's definitely nice. I mean, you know, for us, just being able to sleep in our own bed after traveling, you know, 36 other weekends a year, it's nice to sleep in your own bed, you know, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And, you know, just being able to spend time with your family, that's something that we don't get to do a whole lot of during the weekends. So that part of it's nice, but the oval itself is kind of turned into a lot of our favorite track, right? So to be able to run here in the spring is fun. I mean, the road course is fun too, but the oval definitely has a little more just characteristics to it. So yeah, it's one that I think we're all excited for, just, you know, because as a driver, this place is one of those tracks where you feel like you actually can make a difference.
All right, we'll continue with questions. We'll go to the middle here to Zach, please.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Chase, getting back into the Xfinity car this year for the first time since 2022, first time in a JGR Xfinity car as well. What's the excitement level of that, and why this weekend?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said I wasn't extremely nervous for the Xfinity race. You know, just not being in one for a long time, and, you know, even when I ran in 22, it was on a road course. So, yeah, I haven't really ran one since 2020, I feel like, and that was obviously a good year for me. So I feel like there's like all these high expectations for me coming and running the Xfinity car, and yeah, I don't know what to expect. Like I feel like the feel is so different now than what a Cup car is, and like even sitting in the car this week at the shop, like it feels so foreign, like how the pedals are, that, there's no virtual mirror in there, camera mirror. So that part of it, I would say I'm definitely nervous. I'm excited, but I am nervous. And why this one, honestly, it was just the doors kind of opened up. Like, I would have loved to run more Xfinity stuff in the past, but SHR never really had the cars to be able to do it, and JGR obviously has the All-Star car, and Lance Crackers has been on our Cup car all year as an associate, and they're based right here in Charlotte, so it was kind of one of those things where they wanted to be a part of being a primary, and they asked if I was willing to drive it, and I said, yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be fun to bring Lance Crackers back into the sport. They haven't been here for a long time, but then to do it at Charlotte, where they've been literally making crackers for almost 100 years here in Charlotte, it's going to be a special weekend for us. Yeah.
All right, we're going to continue with questions. I know we've had several hands up, so we're going to get to as many as we can. We're going to go Greg and then Dustin. Go ahead.
Hey, speaking of crackers, snack on this. Are you've had 4 top 5s this year so far with JGR. What were your expectations coming into this season, if you had any, and do you feel like you're meeting those or where you want to be?
Yeah, I wanted just to win, truthfully. Like, the top 5s and stuff are great, right? I think I'm only one behind, like, my career high ever, right? And we're 12 or 13 weeks in. So from that standpoint, that's encouraging, but I want to win races. Like, that's the main goal for me. But yeah, it's weird. Like, we've had the results, but I feel like we have been so bad. like I don't even feel like we're close to our potential. And James and I have talked about that the last 3 or 4 weeks, where like we don't even feel like we've scratched the surface of what we're fully capable of. Like, we're still learning each other so much, and I'm certainly learning the car still. So for us to be as competitive as we've been for how bad we feel like we are is exciting, I think, for both of us. It's just a matter of kind of putting all those pieces together. And, even early in the year, I kept telling everybody, like, by Charlotte is when I need to start feeling like I'm really comfortable and kind of knowing what I have. And I definitely feel like I'm getting to that point. So, yeah, hopefully I can kind of turn it around. And, if I had to grade ourselves right now, I'd say it's a B- C+. And hopefully here in a month I can say we're, in the A.
And in the Xfinity, yeah, you're unfamiliar with the car, but you used to be a force there, right? You used to be very, very good there. Would it be a big confidence boost to do well tomorrow and maybe carry that confidence to help over in the Cup Series, or the two are related?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. If you're winning, whether it's sprint car race or a truck or Xfinity or whatever, if you're winning, it helps your confidence. It definitely would not be a confidence builder if I go to the Xfinity car and run 20th tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that going there and running up front and doing all those things will definitely build confidence. It's a little bit different now, just because SHR, like, I didn't have 4 or 5 top 5s to this point of the season. So like, anytime you can just go run up front, it's like, man, I can still do this. Where now it is a little different because I feel like I'm doing it more often on Sunday, but certainly if I can go tomorrow and win, it just builds all those things. So yeah, definitely, want to go there and win tomorrow, and it'll certainly help the confidence.
All right. Microphone here to Dustin, please, right up front. Thank you.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. And I admit this may be a silly question to ask somebody just ahead of running 900 miles the next 2 days, but looking ahead to Mexico, because of the elevation, is there something that an athlete or you have to do or you're doing because of how that could affect the body as an athlete? And again, I know you're maybe it's as simple as you're running 900 miles this weekend,
yeah,
and that helps prepare. What's the challenge for a driver at Mexico City because of the elevation?
Yeah, I think it's something that truly I don't understand how bad or indifferent it's going to be, right? Everybody keeps talking about it. I've ran the simulator, and for example, like, you can put the thing in first gear, push the clutch in, hold it wide open, and let off the clutch. It won't even spin the tires. Like, that's how much power is killed. So, like, I don't know what to expect. I have been doing things away from the racetrack to try to prepare for that. Will they work? I don't know. Will it be overkill? Like, I have no idea until I get there. But certainly, the only time I've ever even been in elevation was snowmobiling in, like, Park City, Utah. And I remember it being, like, way harder to breathe and stuff. So I definitely think that it's going to be different. But I don't know what to expect until we go there. Like, I was talking to my wife about it just this week. Like, I don't know if I'm going to go there and like get done with practice and be like, man, I should have been doing a lot more. Or am I going to get there and be like, man, I kind of was doing overkill these last 2 months just trying to get ready for this. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to definitely be an advantage or a huge disadvantage for some of those guys that aren't doing stuff. But I've definitely been doing things to prepare for it. I just don't know what's actually going to apply.
Can you say what you're doing, or is that
Well, I
state
don't want to
secrets?
give away secrets, but yeah, the manufacturers, like Toyota's kind of put a plan together for all the Toyota guys at least, and we're all doing, I think, relatively the same thing. So it'll be definitely interesting to see if it all kind of plays out.
And one other thing is Christopher's running the Xfinity race at Mexico. Obviously, you remember when in Chicago nobody could run the Xfinity race. Now people can. Is there a push to try to get in an Xfinity car to get extra laps there or do some things like that? Was that an interest, or is there been a lot of drivers trying to fight each other for the few seats that are available?
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right, is there's not very many seats in the first place that are open. And then if they are open, you have to bring money typically, right? So, I mean, I definitely would like to run it. It's just a matter of trying to put those pieces together. Now it's so late in the game, you can't even probably do it anyways. But yeah, I mean, a month and a half ago, I even reached out to Mahindra. I know that they have some stuff down there, not even tractor related. I was like, hey, do you guys want to maybe go do something down there? So yeah, I definitely was trying to put stuff together, just knowing that it is going to be a big advantage. Anytime you can go to a new racetrack, even more specifically a road course, I mean, it's a massive advantage just getting laps on it. So yeah, it'll be, a benefit to those guys for sure. Yep.
All right, we'll continue with questions. Stephen, can you raise your hand in the back? Yep, thank you.
Steven Stump, frontrush.com. Chase, this may be thinking ahead a little bit, but depending on how well this Xfinity start goes, how much you enjoy it, is there a potential you could do more of these races with the team in Xfinity in the future?
Yeah, I don't know what the 19 car looks like, obviously from a driver standpoint. But I mean, yeah, if they can find a sponsor for it, I mean, I'd run maxed out if I could. I think it's 7. I can run 5. So, yeah, if there was people willing to go do it, I would certainly raise my hand to go drive more. Just in the past, like the opportunity's not been there. It's not that I didn't want to go do it, and even this year, it wasn't something that I was like even thought I was going to get to do. It was one of those kind of last minute things where Lance came on board and they asked if I would drive it. So yeah, I would definitely, if it's available, I would love to run more.
And as an Indiana native, how nerve-wracking was watching Game 1 on Wednesday, and how does it compare to your most nerve-wracking moments inside the race car?
Yeah, the basketball game was absolutely nuts. I literally turned it off with like 4 minutes left, and I got in bed, and Marissa was like, "Are you not going to watch the game?" And I said, "It's over. Like they're down." And I just randomly was like, "I'm going to look at my phone and check the score." And they were down 8 with like 50 seconds left, and I was like, I'll just turn it on just to watch the end. And I'm glad I did. So yeah, I hope they can pull it off tonight. I woke the babies up when the shot went in at the end. So yeah, it's been fun to see an Indiana team kind of be in the mix again. The Colts obviously have not been very good here lately, so it's nice that the Pacers have at least been able to pick up some of the slack.
All right, we'll continue with questions, and we'll start up here. Go ahead.
You were mentioning earlier about having career highs and top 5s, and this comes after you've spent most of your time in the Ford camp with Stuart Haas. How has that transition been? What's been gelling within your team now that you're a third through the season, and what do you think still needs to be worked on?
Yeah, it's definitely different. Just the expectation is so much higher at a place like JGR. I was telling, I think it was my dad actually, where after the Bristol race, all 4 JGR cars were in the top 8, and if we would have had all 4 cars at SHR in the top 10, like we would have been like going nuts, right? Like it would have been the best day ever. At least towards the end of SHR, where at JGR, like the comp meeting, you would have thought we all 4 ran 30th or worse. Like it's just the expectation is so different. Like you're expected to go win and be the best car, and the company's expected to be the best company every single week. So from that standpoint, just like the mental side of things has been way different. Like that expectation change has just been an adjustment for me. It's nice that it's back to that, but it's just different from what I've been used to the last couple years. And for me, I feel like I think it was Greg I was telling, I feel like we're not even close to like our full capability, and a lot of it just comes down to Saturdays. Like the cars have so much more potential than anything I'm used to driving in the Cup Series that a lot of the time in qualifying, I'm just under driving. Like the car can take so much more, and like mentally, I'm so used to having to lift way back here, and it's like this car will just take it. So if I start qualifying better, I feel like it's going to make things way, way better, which in the past has always been one of my stronger things is qualifying. So it's just been an adjustment from that standpoint. I feel like once we start qualifying up front, our days will just get easier, because right now we're coming from the back kind of all day long, and it just makes things challenging. Even the points situation. I think we've literally had 17 stage points all year long, and we're 12th in points. It just we've been getting the finish, but we haven't been running up front all day, and it all starts in qualifying.
All right, we'll continue with questions. We'll come up here to Lee.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. You have any FOMO with Kyle Larson being up at Indy? Because I remember when you won the Grand Prix there, and it was in the middle of COVID, and you have such a long relationship with that track, having grown up in Indiana, and you're like, man, I won, and there wasn't even an audience here. But I mean, when he gets the opportunity to run there not once but twice, you're kind of a little jealous of the opportunity.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm torn a little bit. Like still winning there was incredible, right? But it is tough knowing that my family was 10 minutes down the road at my cousin's house, right? And I didn't get to experience that, at Indy with my family, my friends. Like, so that part, hopefully I'll win a Brickyard maybe this year and get to make up for it. But the Indy 500, honestly, for me, I get asked this question typically every May, and I tell people the same answer. I just want to start and park the 500. Like, I want to do the pre-race. I want to do all those cool things. I want to take the green flag, but I just don't have the desire to race it. I don't know why that is. It's just never been something that I diehard want to race. I diehard love watching it. Like, I've watched every practice session the entire month of May, and I love the Indy 500, but as a competitor, I've never been like, man, I'm willing to go out there and do that. Like, it's never really been there for me for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm vicariously, I guess, living through Kyle, because I know that I know I will never run it. So yeah, I don't know. It's a mixed bag of emotions for me. And that's where I just want to start and park it. I want to experience all those things. I just don't want to run the race.
So I take it then, if you could win the Brickyard, that would be like a dream come true for Chase Briscoe.
I would rather win the Brickyard than the Daytona 500.
And have you ever run the Little 500?
I've not ran the Little 500. I would like to do that one day, though.
BC 39?
I've ran that a couple times. I'm retired, though, for the time being.
What's your expectations for Saturday?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the cars have changed so much since I've ran them. It's hard to say like what it's going to be like. Like, I really don't know. I talked to Almirola for 40 minutes on the way here today, just picking his brain on stuff, just because I don't really know what to expect. And, even just, the Xfinity cars are different. Cup, obviously every single car is the same part, piece, everything, right? But Xfinity, the chassis, like everything is different. So the Gibbs cars are going to drive way different than even what I was used to at SHR. So yeah, I don't know what to expect. Hopefully I'm competitive. That's kind of the main thing. I would love to run up front and be in the mix. It's going to be a special weekend for me. My grandparents came down from Indiana, and my grandpa never gets to see me in person. He's going to come tomorrow. So yeah, I'm excited from that standpoint, and that's why I really want to run good, just because he's going to be here. So hopefully I can put on a show for him. Yeah.
All right, we're going to continue with questions. We'll go to Claire, and then, Scotty, that's fine. And then we'll go to Claire. Go ahead.
Sky Sprinkle Race Face Digital. We saw Bell won the Chili Bowl, early this year. He's been running a lot of sprint car stuff. Gibbs has been getting into a sprint car even too. Has there been any desire for you to kind of hop back in a sprint car or something else to get back to running dirt?
Honestly, I'm retired, I think. Yeah, I've ran, I'm a little bit different than Bell, where obviously we grew up racing them all our life, right? But the last 4 or 5 years, like I've been able to go run them, and I've been doing those things, and Christopher hasn't. So, his itch for it's probably been a lot more because he's been on the sidelines. But, if I was single and didn't have kids, like I would definitely be out running them. But, especially now having, 7-month-old twins at home and, 3.5-year-old, like for me, the priorities are just different. I would, if I have a Wednesday off or something, I would rather just be home with my kids than go run a sprint car race. So I watch the sprint car race at home with my kids, but I would rather be home and spend time with them than be out doing, those things. There's not to say I won't run them again. But right now it's kind of like the Indy 500, like the desire is just really not there for me. And if the desire is not there, I'm not going to go do it.
And then the second question is, back when you were with Stuart Haas and Xfinity running full-time, they were a powerhouse team. You were really a powerhouse driver. Moving over to Toyota and Gibbs now, what are some of the things you've noticed, the differences, things that stood out between working with Stuart Haas and working with Gibbs? Then secondly, the cars, how much different are they, and what's some of the, big things you've been trying to learn compared to, a couple years ago?
Yeah, I mean, on the Xfinity side, I don't know yet, but certainly on the Cup side, the cars just have so much more capability. But even inside the walls, I would say the biggest thing is, it's just coaches there, like every single day. He's in every single meeting. There's just accountability there, from the whole company, right? Because the guy that's owning the place and running the place, I mean, he's there. He's got his pulse on it. And, it's nothing against Gene or Tony. It just they had a lot of other stuff going on. So towards the end, I felt like it just kind of got off the rails. Like it just, there was no real accountability being held there. So that's the biggest difference, I think, is just how involved coach is. I mean, like a couple weeks ago, we were in Kansas, and he's there at 9:30 in the morning for practice. Like it's just, he's there all the time, and I feel like that makes a huge difference, especially when you're racing at this level.
All right, and we'll take our final question from Claire.
Claire B. Lang. Interesting part is that you're an honest man, because you said you were nervous about the Xfinity race. Are you nervous because, well, you talked about your family, but they know you're a Cup guy. They know you race for Gibbs. They know how good you are. Are you nervous because when you're a Cup driver, you feel like you should have that expectation on you that you go into Xfinity and you excel? Because it's not your main deal. You can't just go and have fun. Like, why are you so nervous for the Xfinity race?
I don't know. I think because it's just this huge unknown for me. Like the Cup car every week, I kind of know what it's going to do. Like it's a constant. Like I'm driving it every single weekend. But the Xfinity car, I mean, when you're a Cup guy, like you're expected to be up front, right? And I mean, I drive a Gibbs car in Cup. Like I'm expected to be up front every week in that too. It's just, I would say just the unknown of it. Definitely, I mean, I'm not like scared to death, right? Like I'm just curious, I guess, more than nervous, like how it's going to go. I don't know. I think too, just the fact that the last time I was in an Xfinity car, like I was up front a lot. So I guess everybody kind of expects me to do that again, but that was, 5 or 6 years ago now. So a lot of things have changed. So I'm just curious how it's going to go, I guess, more than nervous.
Yeah, and I know you're not nervous like you're shaking in your boots to get in the car, but there's performance anxiety that there are expectations on you, even though you have made it to the elite division.
Yeah, for sure. And like even walking through the JGR Xfinity shop, a couple of guys are like, man, it's going to be like 2020 again. You're going to wear it. I'm like, man, like I really don't know if it's going to be like that. Like, so I definitely think it's going to be different, right? Like just learning the car again. And, I think that's the biggest thing for me is just not knowing what to expect. Like everything else I go run, like I know what it's going to do, where this, even since I've ran it, the cars are so drastically different from a rule standpoint. I just don't really know what to expect.
You know what they say, do what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to try.
All right, Chase. Thank you so much. Best of luck on
thank you guys.
Saturday
Appreciate it.
and Sunday.